The odds of the Sasuke recovery mission were stacked up against the Leaf from the very beginning. Shikamaru had like 30 minutes to gather his team, which needed to be full of genin. They were about 6 hours behind the Sound Ninja 4, which is actually the Sound Ninja 5, if you know you know. The team also didn't know what the Sound Ninja 5 could do, so they were essentially going in blind. Then, to make matters worse, once they finally got the upper hand, Kimimaro appeared. They were unfortunately boned from the jump. The Sand siblings saved them so hard. So, the question here is simple. Could the Sasuke recovery team have been better? And if so, what would have happened? Here are the rules for this video. Number 1, we're only able to use Leaf Genin for this scenario. This is because most of the Chunin and all of the Jonin were busy with other things. This is something Tsunade addresses beforehand, so it's not fair to bypass a rule that was already set for Shikamaru when he had to make the team. Rule number 2, Shikamaru and Naruto must be on this mission. Shikamaru was put in charge of it, so he must lead it, and Naruto's our main character, so he must be a part of it. Rule number 3, each of the Sound Ninja 5 will be fighting in the same order they did in the original mission. I'm seeing them like checkpoints for the Sasuke recovery team. They must get past Jirobo to get to Kidomaru, then they must get past Kidomaru to face Tayuya and Sok on Inukan. Rule number 4, we can't move around any characters that were already on the mission. That means if Neji stays on this mission, he has to fight Kidomaru and thus will have the same outcome unless the person before him comes in. I'm doing this because there were reasons for each people to fight the people they were fighting, so there's no reason to change it. The only loophole to this rule is Lee, who came in later and wasn't originally a part of this mission. Rule number 5, each fight will be a one-on-one matchup like the original Sasuke recovery mission. This is because it was originally done so the team could stay on the Sound Ninja's trail, and in this scenario that's still needed. The only time it wouldn't be a one-on-one scenario is if the people before them watch their opponent and then catch up in time for their fight. For example, if say Choji beat Jirobo's ass, it would then mean for Neji's fight, at some point it would be him and Choji fighting Kidomaru. It'll be kinda like a Sand siblings situation, they'll just pop up out of nowhere. Rule number 6, the Sand siblings will show up no matter what. They were sent by Tsunade and thus are something we can't and won't control. That means if our new hypothetical fights for Kimimaro and Sok on Inukan are a wash, Gaara and Kankuro will show up anyways and assist in the other fights alongside the new member. And the last rule, Rule 7. We're under the assumption that, unless under special circumstances, this mission is already bound to fail. This is because of Kimimaro, because he's kind of the ultimate stopper. He is easily Jonin level, and he almost beat Lee's ass and Gaara's ass, so it would have to take the best possible outcome for him to lose in time and for the others to catch up to Naruto and Sasuke. Here's how the rest of this video is gonna go. I'm gonna give what I think is the most optimal Sasuke recovery team, then we'll go over the scenario of Kakashi making it in time, effectively just adding him to the back half of this mission. Kinda like Lee, but a little bit later. I also want to make clear, I'm not saying this would be a narratively better or even a good idea to begin with. All of this is not only hypothetical, but impossible, something I'll explain later in this video. So yeah, here's what I think is the most optimal Sasuke recovery team. As you can tell, there is pretty much no wiggle room. We only have technically 6 new genin to work with, and respectfully, most of them are on the weaker side. Sakura would pretty much be a non-factor here. She slept on a bench the night before and isn't really suited for this. Ino isn't super useful in this situation since it's one-on-one matchups. Tenten would be useful here if she didn't have a hilariously bad matchup against all of the Sound Ninja. And Hinata is just a weaker version of Neji, so while she would be useful, there just isn't a reason to include her. That means the only real people to consider here are Shino and then Lee for the original team. And that's who we're starting with first, as we're gonna sub in Lee for Choji, meaning he'll fight Jirobo, and also meaning we'll now have to fill Lee's previous space with someone else. The only reason I think this is allowed is because Lee wasn't originally supposed to be on the mission, he wasn't even on the original team. He just showed up out of nowhere, but in this scenario, he's actually picked to be on it and is a real member of it. On the surface, Lee vs Jirobo might look a little weird. Choji had to take the red food pill to overpower Jirobo, so how would Lee have any chance of doing the same thing? Is what an idiot would say. My thoughts here are that while Lee definitely won't be able to overpower Jirobo, he's much faster than him. And respectfully, Jirobo isn't known for his speed. So the angle here is that Lee would be so much faster than Jirobo that he can't keep up. And it would pretty much be over the second Lee takes off his leg weights. And if you wanted to take it even further, I don't think stage 2 curse marks are gonna save Jirobo from Hidden Lotus or Drunken Fists. Especially since he died after one punch from Red Food Pill Choji. So, this puts Lee at a comfortable win versus Jirobo, and allows him to help the people ahead, something that'll be crucial to this mission's success. The next pick here is unchanged. It'll be Neji vs Kidomaru. On the surface, this might look like a dumb one. Neji was arguably the most injured out of anyone in that battle, to the point that he was in critical condition and needed emergency surgery. But the difference here is that this time, he would get help, as Lee would be able to join the battle in the middle of it. Neji's fight goes like this. For the first half, Kidomaru basically can't touch him. Then in the second half, Kidomaru does nothing but touch him. There's maybe better wording for that. My point here is that the real scenario we have to look at in this fight is if Lee gets to Neji before he's injured. If Neji were to be injured before Lee arrives, they'd probably have to go back to the village. Given that Neji's early injuries include 6 kunai in his back, making them serious enough to prioritize safety. And even if they were to continue, it's not like Neji at this point would be in a fighting position, making him only important for reconnaissance. So with that all established, I think it's then fair to say that Lee gets there in time. Not only because I think it's somewhat true, given his speed, but also because it's really not that interesting to assume these two would have to bail from the mission. We're trying to see if the Sasuke recovery team could have been better here, and eliminating 2 of the members due to injury would not only be too similar to the actual events, but it'd also just be a boring outcome, and respectfully, I'm trying to make a video. I think adding Lee into this fight creates a completely different outcome, because while Kidomaru was able to hold 1 close fighter at bay, I don't think he can handle 2. Especially when those 2 are fucking Rock Lee and Neji Hyuga. Neji was already able to speed blitz him during their original fight, and he was badly injured. Who's to say Lee can't do the same, especially since Kidomaru would have his attention divided. I think even if Lee was slightly fatigued after a fight with Jirobo, he'd still be able to get him, on multiple occasions if needed. So yeah, I think Neji and Lee win and are able to move forward. This places the Sasuke recovery team at 2 comfortable wins, and gives them 2 extra people to move forward with. The Tsuya and Sokon and Nukon fight technically take place at the same time, but for the video's sake, we're gonna start off with Tsuya since it's much easier to get out the way. Cause Shikamaru needs to be on this mission, so he needs to fight Tsuya. And cause this fight is a stalemate for a decent amount of its time, I think it's fair to say that the injuries Shikamaru faces during it would stay. He would still have a broken finger and wouldn't be super useful going forward. But we know the end of this fight, so we know he's gonna be fine. Tamari's still gonna show up and wash Tsuya. So the end of this fight is going to stay the exact same. The only difference is Shikamaru and Tamari are going to move forward with Lee and Neji. Except, like I said, Shikamaru probably won't be doing much fighting, and instead will be in more of a backseat leading role. The Sokon and Nukon fight is a little more interesting. Kiba and Akamaru were the original members, but for the optimal Sasuke recovery team, it's going to be Shino and his bugs. The bugs that are in his skin. Crawling. Constantly. This matchup is mainly reliant on how Shino hard counters Sokon and Nukon's main jutsu, as Sokon and Nukon can infiltrate other people's bodies on a cellular level, making them able to kill their enemies' bodies from the inside. But imagine if they merged with Shino, someone who has chakra-eating bugs inside of them. Those bugs would literally kill them from the inside. It'd be like fucking Home Alone. And even if he didn't get them immediately, the second Sokon or Ukon go in the other's body, the bugs would then be in both of their bodies, then they'd be actually boned. So cause of this, Shino would wash them. Easily. He wouldn't even need help. He'd stay undefeated. This scenario stays under the assumption that Kimimaro jumps in out of nowhere and takes Sasuke's coffin, along with Sasuke later going on ahead. So cause of this, it means that someone comes in to save Naruto like Lee did. And it means that Kimimaro is pretty much the last line of defense, the same way he was in the original fight. And because we used Lee earlier, it means we now have to use a new person. And the person I'm thinking that should come in to save Naruto is Kiba and Akamaru. You may have noticed that I technically just broke one of the rules I set for this scenario, as Kiba is now a part of this mission, but he isn't fighting Sokon and Nukon. But I'm not. Dumbass. Cause this is actually a loophole, kind of like with Lee, as Kiba wasn't initially a part of this mission and is more like a wild card who shows up out of nowhere. You know, kind of like Lee. My thinking with this pick is that he's probably the best person to go against Kimimaro. Choji would probably get popped like a balloon, and we kind of already eliminated the other options. And cause of Kiba's arsenal, aka this big ass wolf thing, he'd probably be able to at least hold off Kimimaro for a second before the other team members arrived. Speaking of the other team members, because of their performance in previous battles, it now means that Kimimaro would be eventually fighting Kiba, Lee, Neji, Shino, Kankuro, Gaara, and Tamari, with Shikamaru as their main strategist. And as you can tell by that lineup, he is fucked. At the start of this video, I said Kimimaro is the ultimate stopper. It would have to take the best possible scenario to beat him. And honestly, I think it did. Tamari's kind of a hard counter. It'd probably be really hard for him to keep up with Neji, Lee, and Gaara at the same time. Not to mention, this would all be under a strategy Shikamaru would have made. And not to mention, again, he's not at full strength because he's terminally ill. And if Shino's bugs were able to get to him while he was sick, yeah, he's doomed. This is the best possible scenario. I don't think it's a debate that all these people win against him, even if some are fatigued from previous fights. This would then mean that Naruto vs Sasuke probably would no longer exist, as the new Sasuke recovery team would be able to catch up to Sasuke in time and easily bring him back, making the mission a success. Although this theoretical team would have been more optimal, it's worth noting that it literally couldn't exist, and is actually something Kishimoto addressed, as when they were gathering people for the Sasuke recovery mission, Shino couldn't go because he was on a mission with his dad. And if you remember in the anime, Lee actually denied going to focus on rehabilitation. And in the manga, he suggested bringing Neji and implied he was focused on rehab. So this team couldn't actually exist. Not to mention, even though it would be stronger physically, it would have been weaker narratively and less beneficial to the characters involved, which in reality is what matters more. Now we're going to look at the possibility of Kakashi making it to Naruto and Sasuke in time when they were fighting. Unlike the last scenario, there are no rules for this one, it's pretty cut and dry. The only difference is we're not using the quote-unquote optimal team, just the normal and honestly, better one. This scenario, in my opinion, is quite simple. If Kakashi reaches Sasuke in time, he's bringing him back. I don't even think he's gonna allow him to talk here. There wouldn't even be a conversation. Now, if this were a what if Kakashi caught up and had to fight Kimimaro, then maybe it's a different story. But I'm not gonna entertain it. Kakashi didn't even leave the village until Naruto vs Sasuke starts, and at that point, Kimimaro is dead. But if you guys want to look at that scenario yourself, then put in the comments what you think. And just like last time, I'm not saying this would have been better and should have happened. If anything, it would have been worse. This is how I think the Sasuke recovery team could have been stronger, but not better. If you can think of another quote-unquote optimal Sasuke recovery team, then put it down in the comments below. Just know though, I'm always right, and always have been, ever since I was born. Jeez. If you want to support me more than just watching this video, you can become a member on Patreon. There might be an early access video coming soon, cause this video wasn't supposed to release this week. And yeah, justice for Shino.